What's up, buds? Today we're talking about Rian Johnson's Knives Out. Knives Out is a tasty, twisty little treat of a movie. Rian Johnson directed Brick, Brothers Bloom, Looper, and then the controversial Last Jedi. So I went into this movie as a Rian Johnson fan. I saw Brick when it came out, and I loved it. Such a unique voice. I loved Brothers Bloom when it came out. I loved the soundtrack. I loved the sense of fun. I really loved Looper when it came out. And then Last Jedi, I have a lot of problems with. That said, we're talking 3 for 4. That's not bad. And you can add 5 to that list because Knives Out it takes what Rian Johnson has been doing in the past and just takes it to the next level. Here's the deal. Rian Johnson has made his career kind of taking genre tropes, not only doing a fresh take on them, but kind of like putting them on their head. And it is no different here. In fact, it is next level here. He is wrestling with something that I haven't seen him make movies like this yet. Now let me clarify something here. So I said before that I loved Brick, Looper, Brothers Bloom. I do love them. They're great, unique voices. I think he's a super talented filmmaker. Blah, blah, blah. That said, he's the kind of filmmaker that, for me, when I scratch the surface and you kind of get below what's going on, there's not, like, when you get below what's going on the surface, I don't find there's a lot going on underneath. This movie is a movie that has big questions and is trying to say something at the same time as wrestling with something. So let's go back to the start. Knives Out is a clue whodunit kind of movie with actors, with a bunch of actors that are like biting into their roles here. Off the top of my head, the people who stood out were obviously Chris Evans. I love seeing Daniel Craig. I have never seen a Daniel Craig like this. It was fun to watch. So, Anna bottom because I'm terrible with names. I'm gonna overdub it.
Ana de Armas.
Is she carries a lot of the movie, and when she's carrying the movie, she's really good. But then there's other moments where she doesn't totally work for me. So what did I not like about this movie? I've rambled a lot about what I did like about it. What did I not like about this movie? Not a lot. I liked a ton of it. For me, though, there's something that happens when a movie is almost too precise that it stops feeling organic. There's another movie that reminded me a little bit of. This movie kind of reminded me of how I felt about Baby Driver. And in Baby Driver, I was like, okay, I'm liking all this, but I'm also feeling a little detached from these characters because everything is orchestrated so well that it almost took me out of it, which is weird to say. It's so well made that it almost took me out of it. But hear me out. It's like you made a dessert, and it's like layers and layers and layers and layers, and it's good. But then you get to the point where it's like you're at the like 10th layer of good, and you're kind of like, you didn't have to go over and above. Like now it's almost distracting me as a viewer on how good this is and how twisty it is. And it was like, hey, you did it. You don't need the extra layer of shine here. You did it. And I felt the same way in Baby Driver. I was like, hey man, you're knocking it out of the park. You don't have to, you're kind of going over the top here. So there was a little bit of that in this movie, but honestly, it's such a vision. It has something to say, and it clicks. I'd like to go into just a little bit about the heavier themes in this. So if you don't want to hear what it's not spoiler in terms of plot, but it's spoiler in terms of thematic spoiler. there are things that he's wrestling with in terms of America and the state of the country and privilege and immigration. And what I found refreshing about it is that it's handling what's going on in America without being preachy about it. To me anyway, it is not a movie that is pointing the finger. It felt like there was all this plot stuff going on, but underneath there was this thing about, well, who are we as people? And that was really interesting to watch in a movie that was so orchestrated and so plot driven to have, and it's so stylish, and the performances, again, to have all that going on the surface, and then to have underneath these questions of like, who are we as people? What do we deserve as people? What do we deserve? What is our privilege? What has been handed to us? What have we earned? And what do we deserve? And what do other people deserve? And those are big questions. Those are not questions that should be answered in a 2-hour movie, especially a 2-hour movie, a 2-hour whodunit. Why this movie is going to stay with me, I think, and I just saw it this afternoon, is that it is super tasty and super exciting to me to watch a movie that's a genre movie that has twists and you don't see this coming, but underneath is wrestling with something like, who am I in my heart? Who are we in our heart? All doing that in a twisty genre movie, that is exciting. That is why I go to the movies, because given an experience and then be also asked to think, be challenged, but not in a preachy, but it was refreshing. And so, as a longtime fan of Rian Johnson, I gotta highly recommend this movie. And I'd say go for the plot twists, but have it stay with you for what he's wrestling with. And now for a counter opinion.
It's going to be a little bit hard to find a counter opinion on this movie because it's currently at 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. So Michael Caleri of the Niagara Gazette says, Johnson plays somewhat by the rules of the genre, but he overwhelms the fun by holding his characters up to ridicule. Each of them is overstuffed with troubles and tribulations. The coolest cat is Playboy Hugh Ramson Drysdale and eager Chris Evans. So that is a great counterpoint because it's the exact opposite of what I just said. Isn't that what we're supposed to be doing? Shouldn't you go to movies and be able to ridicule a character, holding them up and say, let's look at this behavior. Is this good behavior? Is this bad behavior? I'm not going to tell you, but I'm certainly going to put it up for you to judge. Isn't that the role of cinema in some ways? If you like this video, please give us a subscribe or a like, and go see Knives Out. And also, if you've missed any of Rian Johnson's previous movies, do yourself a favor and go check them out. I heard that Brick specifically is getting a re-release this year. I think right now it's only available on DVD, so watch for that. That's my review, and check out his other stuff if you haven't. My name is Ryan Leacock, and this is What's Up Movie Reviews. See you next time.